I am content creator Mary Barnett, also known as Mobile Mary. I empower women entrepreneurs by sharing digital marketing solutions on my show, Brilliant Marketing with Mary. Hey, welcome to the Brilliant Marketing with Mary show. I am Mary Barnett. They also call me Mobile Mary. And today we have a really exciting show for you today. I have a new friend, and she's going to be talking about turning your gifts to gold and monetizing your knowledge. I'm super thrilled to have her come on and share her brilliance with us because I only have brilliant speakers on my show. So we're going to get right into it. But before we do, I just wanted to make sure that you knew that you were invited to come to my private but free Facebook group called Marketing Innovators Playground. It's where serious fun means creative fun meets serious success. We have a lot of fun in there. I share about software and cool AI tricks and tips and all that good fun stuff. And it's just a place to figure out like how to magnetize your message by making people want to share your information because it's so creative and fun. So who doesn't want that, right? And also because I help a lot of speakers, I just launched, in fact, if you're interested in the micro course, I will actually put the link in the comments of the show. But I just launched a micro course called Audience Building Mastery. And it basically shows you how you can build an audience-based list of people who are in your various audiences that you're a speaker at, so you can continue the conversation with them and help bring the conversation to where you bless them in many ways, as well as help them pay you for what you do your best. And we're going to be talking about that today in the show because we are, again, talking to a brilliant woman who is really a transformational coach. So without further ado, let me bring up her information before I bring her on screen, because maybe there's one person out in the world who doesn't know her. So I want to do her justice by telling you that Dr. Christina Fontana is a pharmacist, holistic healer, rapid transformation business coach, speaker, and five-time author. Wow. I'm so excited. I'm getting my next book out soon. So hopefully somebody will be just like her. She helps spiritually driven women to reignite their light and shine in their brilliance, confidence, and true essence. I love that. She shared her entrepreneurial journey 11 years ago by being disempowered, homeless, broke, with eating disorders, PTSD, and anxiety, and since has transformed, turning her pain into purpose, empowering women from all over the world to step into their purpose, power, and prosperity. So without further ado, let's bring up Christina because she's amazing. There she is. Thank you so much for joining me, Christina. How are you today?
What a beautiful introduction. And I love that I want to just acknowledge that joy again, because that's just your personality. I want to acknowledge your brilliance.
Oh, thank you. I was like trying to put it in the screen. When we share screens, sometimes it's smaller. But yeah, I'm just filled with the joy of the Lord, and I can't help um, sharing it. So I'm
Yeah.
so excited to share this show with you as we are like-minded, which is awesome. So Christina, I have so many questions for you, but first, we kind of said off screen, you mentioned you dealt with trauma, and you also said you were homeless.
Yep.
Can you first tell us a little bit about your background and what changed 11 years ago?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I grew up, just kind of like the Cliff Notes version of this story, is I grew up in a very controlling, chaotic household with two parents who came from trauma themselves. So my dad had a very physically abusive father. My mom had an alcoholic father. And so my parents were just trying to do the best that they could. But in the meantime, myself and my siblings were victims of physical, mental, emotional, verbal abuse. And so for a long time, I grew up suppressing my emotions and feeling ashamed of being highly sensitive. And as a result of that, my body had so much trauma that it manifested physically as two different types of eating disorders at two various points in my life, as well as anxiety and depression. So I've had a lot of different things happen along my journey. And so my father was a pharmacist, and he owned a pharmacy in Long Island.
Wow.
And, he wound up, wanting me to take over that business. And my heart knew that I wanted to go in a different trajectory. And I knew that I loved nutrition. I wanted to heal myself, because I was experiencing all of these symptoms, like I said, and I knew that I wanted to help people heal. I
Okay.
didn't want to just, give medication. I wanted to really help them get to the root of what was happening, because I was experiencing that. And I know that God has given me these different life lessons so that I can show others that there is hope and healing. So anyway, fast forward to right around the end of pharmacy school, my parents actually wound up kicking me out of the house because of my decision to essentially leave that business. And so I found myself at 23 homeless with all of my things like literally sprawled out on the lawn. And
No.
I had I had to kind of like just pick up the pieces of my life in different leaf bags, these clear leaf bags, to put them in my car to figure out a place to live. And I just had so much trauma from that experience, so much guilt and shame around speaking up for really what I wanted in my life for the first time. And so really that's why I do this work that I do now, because I was disempowered. I had a lot of anger, a lot of these buried emotions, especially toward my dad, that I had to resolve because my life wasn't workable. So I had, I was abusing my body. I smoked cigarettes. I drank. I did all these really horrible things because I was holding all of this rage and all of this energy that was wanting to be released and healed and integrated. So as I had that experience happen, I have been led to so many different teachers and retreats and books and courses over the last 12 years that has allowed me to then turn around and help other people who also struggle, high achievers who struggle with anxiety, um, a lot of these different blocks of like people pleasing, perfectionism, these survival patterns that we are just trying to cope with life, right? Instead of really experiencing true empowerment and freedom. So that's part of my story.
Wow. Good for you. Like that's okay. The stuff thrown out on the lawn, like this right out of a movie. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Yeah. And like most people would just be curl up in a ball and use that as an excuse to, basically abuse themselves as a way to get back at their parents, right? But you
Yeah.
turned it around. Good for you for standing up and saying, you're not the boss of me, which is one of my mantras too. I'm a baby of six, and I had a very, um, let's just say, a prickly pear for a father. He was a little bit of a narcissist, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he cut me off in college too. Like I just was like, oh, okay, but that's a whole nother story. So what a blessing that you're able to take that experience, get the tools you needed to heal yourself, because they say heal, doctors heal thyself or whatever
Yep.
that is. And then you're able to turn that around, which is fantastic. And you actually answered one of my questions. I was going to ask, what kind of trauma do you help? So you help with anxiety, because most high achieving women and men
And
are filled with anxiety.
overwhelm is a big one, and these are a lot of these nervous system responses, right, to trauma. So when someone goes through a trauma, whether it's big T or little t, you know your body floods with stress chemistry. You go into fight, flight, or freeze, or fawn, depending. And so your body gets conditioned into these subsets of essentially like I said, the people pleasing patterns or the survival patterns, so that whenever, if you go to shine your light in your business, some past version of you, your subconscious mind is trying to protect you. So it says, oh no, that's not safe. The last time that we did that, I got bullied, I got abused, I got ridiculed, criticized. And so we hide unconsciously. And sometimes
Right,
it showed up physically as weight. So um I was emotional eating, I was binge eating. There's a lot of shame that I was trying to just regulate my nervous system, and that's how I was unconsciously doing it. So
sure.
whenever we have unhealed trauma, it shows up in all of these different mechanisms, like numbing out through alcohol, everything that I was doing, or overachieving, staying busy to avoid being with ourselves, and these uncomfortable emotions. So I essentially help bring awareness and love to and compassion to some of these different patterns that are playing out with my clients, because it's stopping them from shining the light and the brilliance and the gifts that they have to share, the God-given gifts that they have.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that is so that that's amazing. Where were you 25 years ago? My goodness sakes. You actually, in your brilliant marketing share, you said that trauma often blocks brilliance,
Yeah.
right? So healing provides transformation that increases profitability and scales thriving businesses because you can't show up and do your best when you're dealing with all that, right?
Absolutely. So when you suppress, oftentimes we're suppressing or repressing emotion, then the energy can't flow. And I believe that, I always say God is my CEO. Then if we can't receive those divine downloads because there's so much fear and there's so much of these mechanisms getting in the way, that we can't allow ourselves to be the channel that God wants us to be, the vehicle for reaching the clients who need us, or being magnetic. So oftentimes what I see is, as an example, is that wounded masculine of like wanting to be in control really shines through, because our inner feminine doesn't feel safe. It didn't feel safe in the past because of whatever trauma had happened. And so
Right.
that masculine comes through because we don't trust the masculine. So that's one way it plays out. And then we'll stay overwhelmed and busy and all of these things. And it's not allowing that true feminine softness and magnetism to really seep through your business. And I think that's what people are drawn to.
Oh my gosh, Christina, you don't know how much this means to me. I was telling you a little bit before we got on camera today that I'm about to launch my book. It's called Hello God, It's Me, Martha, a 31-day journey from overwhelmed, overjoyed.
Yep.
And that basically was my life. And I'm not going to talk about my trauma today,
Yeah.
but I basically, I'm a, an adult, a longtime adult. And I was always so like, my dad taught me that lazy was the original four-letter word. So I could never be lazy. So I could never sit down. And I always had to volunteer for everything and do everything for everybody. And always because I wanted people to like me. And if I was busy, then I couldn't do this and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it just used
Well, then
like,
you were worthy, right? Then it's that worthiness piece.
yes.
Yep.
And so I had to
You're me and I am you. Yes.
yes, I had to work through this and work through this. And when you said about divine downloads, that was the thing. Like I started this book 5 years ago, and then, I got busy, right? We're all busy, 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 busy. And I think the enemy wants us to stay busy so we can't do what God has given us to
Right.
do, right? And so this summer I had a couple major surgeries. So guess what? God started knocking me around, going, hey, what about that book? Hey, you can help people with this. Hey, if you've gotten to the point, and I'm not like completely overjoyed all the time, I fall right back into, the overwhelmed. And then I have to get back and get into the scripture and get into and so I created this journal with prompts and doodles and all this kind of fun stuff. And, oh my gosh, like it's so good to hear that somebody else has gone through this, but you are obviously so much more. And I'm so proud of you for healing yourself and to help others. I can't get over it. Okay. One thing that you said, I know this is only a 15-minute show and I could talk to you all day, but you also said your brilliant marketing fact is to show up and shine as yourself. Can you touch on that just a little bit?
Yeah, so I think, like I said, a lot of us carry around this almost unconscious, low level guilt and shame of, oh, I can't speak up or share what I really desire because what are people going to think of me? Or will people like me? Like you said, right? That people pleasing, that inner part of you that just wants to be loved and accepted, right? So
Right.
the different pieces come online and are thread throughout our businesses and our lives, that we feel guilty setting boundaries, we feel ashamed of our past. And I know I was for a long time. Like I had this vicious eating disorder where I would get up and binge during the middle of the night, and I didn't tell people for years, so I kept that part of myself hidden. But when I started to share and be vulnerable, which is the medicine for shame, and I started to heal some of these, I call it the inner punisher, the guilt cycle, because guilt seeks punishment. My life was so unworkable. When I finally forgave my father and I understood why, that I was not the target for his unhealed trauma, then I was able to really move forward with more power. And so when you own who you are, all of these different parts, and you heal through some of the guilt and shame from whatever you did from a different level of consciousness from the past, you integrate into, it's almost like this the higher self, right? Or this more like who God really wants us to be. And so that's when you're truly shining your light, and you feel confident shining your brilliance and sharing your gifts with the world. So when you shine as yourself, then, and you can own and say, yeah, I had an eating disorder, that's going to resonate with someone, and they're going to be like, oh, that's how you become magnetic to your soul client, in my opinion.
Well, that's as I say that based on the title of the show, I wanted to finish on that. Is that turning your gifts to gold and monetizing your knowledge? Can you expound on that as well? The monetizing your knowledge part.
Oh, absolutely. I think that all of us are born with certain gifts. Like my husband is a food critic, on the side, he does his gift is he's an investigator. He loves to kind of like dig into restaurant menus, and I've helped him literally turn that gift into money. Now he gets paid to go to restaurants. He just got paid like I'm so proud of him. So
That's amazing.
I guess I'll end with that is, you have gifts that are valuable, and it's just about learning how to translate that into practical frameworks and structures and a business model that can help you not only serve the world, but also provide for your family. So anything is possible.
I love that. Oh my gosh, Christina, seriously, I think we're going to be new best friends because I love everything you've said, everything you're about, and thank you for acknowledging the gifts you have and helping other people turn their brilliance into brilliance. I mean, and my company name is another brilliant idea, by the way.
Yep.
It's because I totally 100% agree with you. We're a totally like-minded girl. And so thank you for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your brilliance with us. People can find you at pharmacistcoach.com. Is that correct?
Yep. I'm also on YouTube. I have a podcast. So if you just Google Christina Fontana, I connect with me somehow. I would love to connect with you, and yeah, just thank you so much for having me on today.
You're such a blessing. I love it. All right. Well, thank you again, Christina. Everyone, thank you for tuning into the show. For more brilliant business leaders like Christina, we'll see you back next week for the Brilliant Marketing with Mary show. And again, be brilliant in all you do. God bless. You can learn more about me and my products and services at anotherbrilliantidea.com. Make sure you join me every week on the SWE Media Network YouTube channel and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.